Hello, Naomi. What's up?
Hey, wow, you just jumped right in that sauna. Love
Yeah,
it.
so first of all, I'm so happy to have you here. So welcome all to the Cold Feet podcast. And it's also the first podcast in about a month and a half or so. I've been dealing with other projects, so I'm super happy that you motivated me and inspired me by reaching out like, "Hey, Sean, let's make this podcast happen." So, Naomi, why don't you I think it's the first time we're actually meeting face to face, which is pretty cool. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Okay, first of all, hello. I feel like
What's
this has
up?
been a long time coming. I'm
Nice
so
to meet you.
excited to
Me
see
too.
you and be here. Yeah, virtual handshake. About me, I am a personal trainer and a health coach here in Israel, like a nutrition coach. Um, My journey is a bit of a long one, so how far back should I go? Let's
I
start in
normally
like high
tell
school.
people
I'll
go
try to
back to
wrap it
Adam and Eve, go back to Adam and Eve, and then take it from
up.
there.
Ooh, Adam and Eve, that's already getting controversial. So,
Oh,
okay,
I'm
I'm just
sorry. I'm
kidding.
sorry. I brought up the controversial topics because I'm never controversial on my podcast.
No, I know. You're just a regular run-of-the-mill guy just walking around barefoot.
Yeah,
Um,
that's me.
okay, so in high school, I was like, I did actually growing up, I was just like a healthier person naturally. I was always just, inclined to like I didn't love snacks, that type of stuff. I was very active. I was always like quote unquote the like skinny one of my family. I know that's a hot word right now, but let's just say it, okay? Um then through high school I did like start like working out a bit. I got kind of like gym ratty, but I didn't really like know what I was doing or why I was doing it. I kind of just like wanted to be fit and again skinny. Okay. Like not, I didn't really care about strength or any of those long-term effects. So then I comes to Israel. I moved to Israel. Um, and that was when I really was on my own. Like nobody was like making my food. I kind of was just like thrown in the deep end, and didn't really know how to treat my body properly. And I started gaining weight. Okay. I sort of was like, I don't want to look this way. I'm very used to looking a different way. Again, I'm a teenager and I didn't really know how to go about that. So I struggled with like an eating disorder for a couple years there. I just really was like, okay, I don't want to work out. And I know if I don't consume calories, like I won't gain weight. That was like a bit of a struggle. And then I joined the army, and everybody was telling me, like, you have to eat if you want to be in the army. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to give you very specific food. You need to like be able to keep up. Like, there was physical tests, there was just things you had to do. So suddenly I very much was like, okay, I need to be in a different headspace. I started on my kibbutz, like running and doing some fitness stuff, just like dabbling and consuming more food slowly but surely. And I also had kind of a wake up moment there when I really almost like passed out because I wasn't eating. And I was like, something's got to change. So I started, reintroducing food more and also getting into the fitness space. And in the army, turns out I actually was a fitness instructor. So, again, this is all very sped up, but that was kind of my journey into the fitness field. And then I started actually learning about like the science behind movement and like proper nutrition and things like sleep and all these different things that I never really thought about. I was kind of just always very vain in my health. Like, no, I want to look a certain way. And I didn't really know what was happening in my body or why it was happening or anything like that. So being exposed to like the science of it and really like sort of having the power, like I just felt empowered that I knew what was going on. So I could make choices based on that and not just based on like having no information. You know what I mean? Like when you have no information, you kind of
Mhm.
just think like, okay,
You
I
get
know something
lost.
about calories. Yeah, like I was very lost, exactly, in my health journey. At that point, I was lost. And then the army, sort of like with all that information, I kind of fell in love with all things like health, fitness. And that was when I really started caring about like long term effects of health and not just how I looked. And through that, like it was a long journey, obviously, with body image and that stuff. But right after the army I got married, and a couple years after that I got pregnant. And then at that point, really, like you're caring for another life, you're growing another life. It really becomes not just about what you're doing, but about giving the best to the future generations, right? So like I felt like it was very selfish if I couldn't do the best I could with the information I had. I had very different information back then. I was a vegetarian for like a bunch of years there. And then after my, like when I was at the, like after I gave birth to my daughter, I sort of got introduced to the paleo movement. Okay. So like my first dabble into the paleo movement was like, wow, this is the answer. I got it all, like I really felt like that was it. Like something really clicked to me, like this is how we've been living forever, this is what I should do. So the paleo movement, much like any movement, even like veganism, any sort of dogmatic thinking, could be very all consuming, and there's not much room. Like people are literally Googling, can I eat this on paleo? And I didn't like the aspect that it was very dogmatic. And every single question I had was like, okay, now I have to Google, is this okay? Is this okay? Instead of just understanding what it's doing in my body and is this good for me? So from there, I got very into like bio individuality, finding the best diet for me and the best lifestyle for me. And that doesn't have to look like what everybody else is doing, or I don't have to follow some guru or ask doctors, or I was always like getting the answers from elsewhere. And I kind of just wanted to be able to feel it within myself. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's after my paleo bout, I was kind of more like Weston A. Price. Thinking back to really like ancestrally looking into communities that are still around, that have more of like tribal, like have been untouched by modern civilization, and things I can take from there while also learning the science of it. And then I would say after I like gave birth to my second son, I read The Omnivores Dilemma by Michael Pollan, if you're familiar. Amazing book. I think everybody should read that who consumes food, which is everybody. So I was like, okay, this is all about America, and I live in Israel. So I kind of wanted to understand the food system in Israel better and where my food was coming from. So I went into like a deep journey of finding where my food comes from. Like now, if you follow me on Instagram or any social platforms, like you'll see I visit a lot of like farms and ranches in Israel. And like I want to know start to finish what I'm putting in my body, not just like, oh, here's a carrot, but like what went into building that carrot, because it really starts from the ground, right? Like our soil, sunlight, everything, like all these things, just like we need it for human health, plants need it for their health, animals need it for their health. There just is basics. And if you take all these shortcuts, which is I think a lot of the problem of what humans are doing these days to themselves, to our food system, it doesn't work, right? Like we've tried the experiment. I think it's failed. That's me. What's up?
Wow, what's up? Well, that was a very intrinsic, detailed intro to your life. Like with now that I know you better, I can kind of banter on it. So
Yeah.
I find it fascinating that you came from the exploring your own body, your own nutrition, your own body image, and that's what led you on the path to becoming a trainer and a health coach. Because that's what happened with me as well. I was also going through an eating disorder at the age of from 15 years old onward, also in the army, and that's exactly why I launched my career into becoming a trainer. And surprisingly or not so surprisingly, this is very common amongst trainers because first we want to solve the dilemma for ourselves, and once we feel that we can, it can kind of go two ways. It's either that we never feel that we solved it within ourselves. So by hoping that by helping others, we're kind of like, it's like a codependent thing. Like if we can help others do it, then hopefully it will be solved from within. I don't think that's a healthy place to be. But I think that once we start solving all these moral dilemmas within ourselves, whether it's emotional, whether it's physical, whether it's spiritual, we're then able to take those same practices and then apply them to our clients. So I remember when I was, I think, 17, 18, right before I was drafting, I was staying by a friend of mine who was a nutritionist. And I said to her, yeah, probably after the army, I want to get into the fitness nutrition field. She said, don't do it. Because if you're struggling with an eating disorder, it's not coming from a healthy place. First, find serenity. First, find your own shalva, as they would say in Hebrew. I love that word, and then pass it on. So, surprise, surprise! I also, in my third year of service, was a combat fitness instructor. I did Madagnat,
Ah,
the course for combat soldiers. So we're the same
Wingate.
same vibes, yeah. Spend up
Yeah,
many many years in Wingate studying stuff that I still don't apply today because many of them are useless. Sorry, Wingate. Shout out to Wingate. Yeah,
totally.
there's not a, unfortunately, I feel that the education system, when it comes to physical education and just teaching your body, all the courses I've done in like regular school curriculums, there's nothing I apply today to the people I train. All the alternative courses I did that I did online or did, strength and conditioning courses or whatever stuff I did, those are stuff that I'm able to apply. The books I read are the stuff I apply. The curriculum, whatever they teach, do this and this is not what's applied today.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I
when it
will
comes,
say that I
yeah,
think, sorry, just I think in a lot of fields, education and these like it is a slower thing to change. I hope that we see change coming up soon, but still, even in like medical school, dental school, wherever you're going, it's just hard to really get in there and change the curriculum. But yeah, I would love to see change in that system because I
mm,
also learned a ton of BS. And in the army particularly, I will just go on this tangent for 1 second. They don't
go
even
for it.
apply what they teach us. Like
Correct.
we were learning so much about like sleep importance and nutrition, and then you see what they're feeding their soldiers and how they're letting
Mm,
their soldiers sleep, and it's like,
mm.
if you think it's so important, let's see it happen,
Mm. Well, so episode 16 here was I did with an architecture student about why school sucks, and we spoke all about why the higher education system is flawed. She did, I think, 3 years in architecture school, which is a very, very hard degree, and she dropped out because she realized that it wasn't what she was getting at. And
Yeah.
really, really looking deep into it and asking people that I work with, that I train, most of them go to school because that's what society does. So if people keep on going on that track of I'm going to get a bachelor's degree because that's what society does. Oh wait, that's not enough. I'm going to get a master's degree because that's what society does. Okay, now let me take all these degrees and apply to whatever, work in McDonald's. Like it's just this ever growing trend of getting overqualified and over quote educated when in reality you're not actually educating yourself. You're just learning stuff for a test and then that stuff that you learn doesn't have real world application. I don't want to go on an
Yeah.
education tangent right now, but
Yeah.
people
No,
out there who
I'll
want
take
to
it back. I could bring
people
it back in.
yeah, people who want to educate themselves, take a book, open it, and read, please. And I'm talking to someone who does not have a degree. I started college. I realized it was a waste of time. I apply all the things I learned to from books and online stuff and other people and hands-on experience. And I'm training Olympians today. So like you can get there by self-growing and educating. What you said about nutrition. So it's funny that you're saying that. I'm very happy that we're talking about this topic, is because paleo and any sort of more primal carnivore, meat fat based style diets are looked at as extremes. But if we're already talking about breaking the norm and we're like, saying education is not the way to go and our habits are not, the modern day human is not the way we should be living, like you kind of tap into like our primal roots. Paleo is a primal style diet. The
Mhm.
same thing that I have against modern shoes, the same thing I have against sitting, the same thing I have against education, we can apply it to sciences. We can apply it to nutrition as well. And if science is always telling us eat complex carbs and carbs are good and this is good and this is good, with the personality that we have, we should be questioning the norm and saying, wait a minute, is this really the way to go? Let's take a step back and examine what our ancestors ate. And I think that's where you were kind of diving in at.
Yeah, well, I'm also saying that, yeah, exactly. And listen, people are just always right away. Well, first of all, one thing I always get pushed back on is, why would you want to eat like our ancestors? They all died so young. So let me just clear that up real quick. I'm not saying that our ancestors had it amazing and they had perfect lives. Like there was a lot of struggle back then and they had their own problems, but health wise, from what we see, from what we find, like skeletons, bones, things like that, the ones that did make it past like infanthood and into adulthood lived long, very healthy, amazing lives, rid of modern disease, right? That we're seeing today. Um, I'm not saying there's no aspects that are good of what we have today, but now that we have all this comfort and these good things, let's just take the best of both worlds. Like, we live in the most comfortable time ever, I think, to be alive as humans. With that comes a lot of negative things too. But if we, what I'm saying is, right now, our to be the healthiest we've ever been because we have modern advancement, but we know the health of our ancestors. So let's take the best of both worlds and like achieve our ideal health. You know what I mean? Like, for me, it's frustrating when I see people who are just living this life in this way of, okay, whatever society does, like you were saying with education, we'll just keep doing. Because I'm like, it's not working for you. Don't you see that you don't feel amazing? Like, I know so many people who are living such unhappy lives because they're not at their best, like things like infertility, diabetes, yeah, excess weight is one of them. Depression is like running rampant. We've become used to this norm, and like, let's snap out of it as a society and demand better. There's just so many industries right now who are working against us and trying to sell us all these things that they're saying is amazing for our health. But if we just learn to trust our own bodies and find what works for ourselves, it's all at our fingertips. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Comfort is a bad thing. I really love your perspective, the way you put it. We live in a very, very comfortable era, but we have all the knowledge to do what's right. Like, we have Google at our fingertips. We have gyms at every freaking block. We have forest and nature accessible. We have modern medicine. Like, we have the ability to live healthy, fruitful lives because of the comfort. But I think we're also abusing the comfort. Like, we're taking the gifts that God or whoever you believe in gave us and using it for too much comfort. Like, just the fact that you can work from home now and never have to leave your couch is an extreme of bad comfort. On the flip side of things, the fact that you can work from home now means that you get to spend more time with your family, your loved ones, and perhaps you have more time to, get out. Every hour of sitting, you have time to get out and about. Whereas in a structured workplace, you may not be able to sit on the floor. You may not be able to move every hour. So we kind of have to take the blessings of comfort and ensure that we're applying it to our body in a good way.
Exactly. And I think that so doable, but we society that we just accept it now. And I hear people just talk about their health in such a way that it's just like it's out of their hands. They're just like, I don't know, this is just how it is now. Like, it's sad to watch. And I just want to give out always the message that there's so much you can do. You know what I mean? Like, just like you're saying, go for a walk, go outside for 15 minutes a day. Like, there are these changes that people could make, and they're so doable if you just get out of that mentality of like, this is what it is. And especially because people are so far away from probably the life like you live and I live, and people who really try to do as much as they can, that it seems intimidating to even tap into it a little bit. But there are just 15 minutes a day that you could dedicate it to it. I just want to give the message that this is a long journey. Like, when I said where I came from in like 10 minutes at the top of this episode, and people don't understand, that was like over a decade. You know what I mean? 2 decades. Like, these things are a journey. It doesn't mean all of a sudden tomorrow you have to wake up and live like our ancestors or that's the only way you're going to get there.
I think that Naomi and I have in common is that we both look at health not as black and white. I think that the bodybuilding era and just modern society turned health into just about like fitness and nutrition. That's it. So it's like, all right, I got my cardio, check. I got my strength, check. I ate my macros, or I ate my food that's healthy, my broccoli and chicken breast. I think that health is so much more, and this is a topic that I've spoken about before. Health is, how is your skin? Like, is your skin healthy? Is your hair falling out? Are you emotionally happy? Are you pooping properly? If you're a woman, do you have your cycle properly? Are all the hormones in balance? You know, I'm working with athletes. Many of them are so lean that they don't have their period properly.
Yeah.
Are you getting enough sunshine every day? Are you drinking enough water every day? And if you want to take it to not an extreme, but if you want to take it to even healthier place, what kind of water are you drinking? What kind of foods are you putting in your body? How much pesticides are you intaking when you eat your food? Um, Sauna extremes, like not extremes, but like exposing your body to extreme temperatures like cold and heat are things that we had to do in the ancestral times. We had to swim across the river to get to the other side, winter or summer. We had to be in the baking sun picking food because if we didn't pick the potatoes, Amazon Prime didn't ship it to our door. So we left these things that were part of our healthy lifestyle and kind of lumped all these, decided that health is now a gym membership and like eating organic foods or eating healthy foods, and that's where I think the real flaw is, and that's where we messed up, because health is not just did I check off my gym session. Health is all the attributes I mentioned, and it's going to be a journey to get there and find what you connect with the most. If hiking's not your thing, do something else, but you do have to find something healthy that's sustainable for you. And for many people, the gym, and I'm speaking of someone who owns a gym, is not the most sustainable way to go about it.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think, like you're saying, we are a culture of instant gratification. And like you're saying about comfort, I think we are a culture of instant gratification and very short term thinking. And it's not our fault. We as humans are wired to, like, there are signals in our brains that are telling us, like, oh, release of dopamine, they got something sweet, right? We were sort of in our natural state. We've evolved to want to eat and not move. That is true. Like, if you see animals at the zoo, once they're fed, they don't want to necessarily run around. That doesn't mean that's going to be the healthiest for them, though. We, knowing these things, we've sort of again, we want to take these shortcuts and just, okay, get our food and just sit here and do nothing else, since that's all we need to do. But we need to sort of put that aside and realize that if we want to achieve health and have these comforts, we need to take it into our own hands. You know what I mean? Because the world right now is allowing us to sit on our butts and do nothing. And yes, these things taste delicious. You know why? Because there's food scientists in factories making this food, have amazing mouthfeels, have amazing textures, taste amazing. So yeah, you're addicted to it. But you will feel so much better if you can cut this cycle and think a little more long term, because not even just like disease, but we are all getting older. Like, aging is a real thing. If you want to get into the second half of your life and be able to do everything you want to do, you better start putting in work now. I think people just think of the here and now, but you're working so hard and people are just like, oh, gotta make money, gotta make money. But what are you making this money for, right? You want to enjoy your life. You're not going to be able to enjoy your life if you don't have the health and ability to do that.
Yes. Wow. So it's interesting you said about the here and now, because even once again, I'm not trying to bash any specific genre of fitness. I think that the bodybuilding world has done something tremendous for movement because it's brought gyms to be mainstream, and it's got people who'd be sitting on the couch otherwise lifting weights, which is awesome. But bodybuilding is all about like the aesthetics here and now. Like, look how big my bicep is, look how big my butt is, look how aesthetic I am. I like creating sustainability. So for me, it's, will I be able to pick up my grandkids over my head and hang out with them in the monkey bars when I'm 70 years old? When I'm taking my whole family and community on a hike, when I'm 60 years old, will I be able to, climb up the mountain? Will I be able to climb the peak with 20 kilo on my back? Will I be a role model? But even more so, are the habits and lifestyle that I'm creating now in my 20s sustainable when I'm 50, when I'm 60, when I'm 70? It's very likely that if I am a gung-ho hard gymmer and I'm hitting the gym 6 times a week, it's likely next year, forget about 6 years old, I'm going to have a kid. Not implying anything. I'm just saying, if life happens and I may
Yes.
have a kid,
Yes.
or who knows, maybe I'm traveling much more for work because we're moving up north next year. Life may not allow me to live that lifestyle where I'm hiking every week, beaching every week, gymming 4 times a week, and walking every day, and mobilizing and heating and colding every day. So I have to make sure that my
Right.
habits, not my gym routine, and not my a structured runs in the evening, but is my habits and lifestyle allow me to maintain this health until the day I die? And that's really about creating sustainability. And unfortunately, many trainers, coaches, and even humans don't realize that. They think that health is like white and black. It's just about the now. I love your perspective on things. Like the now is not what's important. And guess what? If I went out and ate a pie of pizza or whatever, cool. That's the now. That's fine. The now applies to like other things as well. Eat the pie of pizza and enjoy life. It's not going to affect you when you're in 10 years time or tomorrow or in a week. It's going to affect the short term only, and it's not about the short term. It's about the long term.
Yes, I very much talk about this almost on a daily basis, because a lot of the people I work with are moms, are women who have like are prenatal or postpartum, and very much their body is changing. And a lot of them will come to me like, I just want to lose this 10 pounds, or like these very short-term goals. And I'm thinking, okay, but yeah, I could train you and you'll lose 5 pounds, and then what? Like,
Then
that's
what?
just not
Oh my God.
right. Like your goal, like, once you unlock your strength and your health, which I think is our birthright, like you won't care about those extra 5 pounds. It won't be about just looking in the mirror and thinking you look good on one day. You'll feel it from within, and it will last hopefully a lifetime. And that's definitely been part of my journey as well. But again, this also pertains to what I think about with our earth and the soil and the way we treat our animals and all of these industries we're putting in place. Like, again, we're just so short-sighted. We're like, we have a lot of humans, we have to feed them. Okay, I guess shortcuts, let's just put nitrogen fertilizer, let's just get as many crops as we can. But it's so too like our bodies, we just keep depleting and depleting and depleting. And instead of stopping the cycle and realizing this is obviously a failed experiment, let's try something else, we're just too far in this wheel, and it's just become our comfort zone that we can't step out of it. And I think it's really doing a lot of harm. Like if we saw a monkey population, let's say, that was just like diabetes was on the rise, they're depressed, they're just sitting around not doing anything, we'd be like, what the hell is going on? Someone go save these monkeys. But we're just letting this go on in our lives. And I saw it like when I was struggling with an eating disorder, let's say, and barely eating, or even just like I saw it, I ate, everybody's sitting around, no big deal. Nobody questions anything. Nobody says, hey, wait a minute, let's talk about your health. But the minute I went on this health journey, and let's say I walk around barefoot or I do other things that are quote unquote weird in society, all of a sudden everybody has a lot to say about my health. Like, you don't want to use toothpaste, you're going to kill your kids. I'm like, really? You don't seem to be caring when people are shoving cake down their kids' throat every other day of the week. Like, I'm sorry, I'm just a little bit sick of it. And I've done the sugar coating, like, let's just try to do a little bit better thing. But like, there does have to be a change at some point, especially with me. Like, my pain point is really the future generation. Like, I can't stand to watch it happen with kids these days, because I'm like, we are the generation that saw how bad these things are for our health. And instead of taking it in the opposite direction and changing the cycle and breaking the cycle for our children and the future generations, we're just stepping right back into it because it's easier.
Why is that? I'm going to refine the question. The structure of the modern day human is flawed. Why? Because the people who genuinely care about their health are the weirdos. So if you don't want to have fluoride in your toothpaste, or if you only want to drink filtered water, or if you're going out with friends and you say, no, thank you, I'm not going to drink. Why aren't you drinking? Because I don't drink. In fact, you'll never, like, I drink a beer like once a year on a special occasion. No, I'm not going to smoke weed with you. No, I'm not going to sit and binge eat, like, you know, just stuff my face with you. No, I actually am going to go on a hike instead. I'm actually going to celebrate my birthday hiking with friends instead of, you know, just having a all out eat festival. Or I'm going to go barefoot. I'm the weirdo. But these are all things that I'm doing for my health. So my question to you, and we can kind of brainstorm this together, where did society go wrong, and why did the structure become the mainstream unhealthy lifestyle? Is it just the comfort we spoke of, or is it something else?
Well, I think in a lot of different fields, there's probably a lot that went on together at the same time. But what do I really think it is? I think a lot of it stems from capitalism. And I'm not saying I'm anti-money or anything like that. I'm not saying we should all go back to just living in small tribes and let's take away the money from Earth.
I'm down.
But I am saying, yeah, no, I'm honestly down. But I am saying a lot of industries, like I even look at the quote unquote like health industries now, and I'm like, what are these people peddling? They're literally just want to take your money for any reason, even if it's against your health, children's health. They know it causes cancer. They know it causes diabetes. These people are not stupid. They know it's terrible for your health. Like all these like glyphosate, pesticides, all these huge industries, they don't think they're selling a product that's making our planet healthier. They know very much, like there's been court cases and law cases like against them. They've had to pay tons of people for destroying their health. They know they're not selling healthy products, but again, at the end of the day, these people want to make money. Like it really is sadly a lot in the money.
Mm.
And unfortunately, that even trickles down to an individual level. I see people every single day. I talk to people who it's like, okay, why can't you prep one healthy meal for your family a week? I just have no time. I have no time. Why do you have no time? Because I have to work. And I'm like, okay, but you're also on social media. Stop social media. These are things like people can't stop themselves from doing. And with like work related things, a lot of it is money, and a lot of people are not willing to, let's say, take a pay cut in order to prepare healthy food for their family. But like even elsewhere, it's just these huge industries who, like if you've watched The Social Dilemma, you know the people in charge of Facebook and Instagram and all these social media platforms, they do not let their children go on it because they know how addicting it is. So if everybody's just after money and a bigger portion of your attention and money and the bigger slice of that pie, it's going to be very, very hard to go against that. And I see even on a personal level, it's real, like it is addicting. Like I have to physically say, I am taking a break from social media. Otherwise, that is so extremely valuable. And if you can't give time to preparing healthy food for yourself, taking a walk, getting sunlight, sleeping, then like I it's going to be really hard to work around. You know, you have to be very mindful of doing that, and it takes time and it's a journey, and I'm not saying it's easy. Like I always say, your ideal health is not easy, but I think it is simple. And the problem with all these industries, including the health and fitness industry and things they're promoting, is that it really takes the simplicity out of it. You think like, oh, I have to do this 10-week program where I'm jumping off roofs and doing all these crazy things, when it's like, here's the most simple thing: lift something heavy, go for a walk, get in the sun, take time with your community, like love things you do, go outside and play. Like there are so many basics for your health. There are, just bring it back to basics. And I think the message I want to give to people, and I try to give to people who I work with, is it can seem intimidating, like you're going to want to take all these shortcuts and there's going to be a million things that pop up on your feed, like, hey, join this quick program, 10-minute abs, and these sexy little titles flashing in front of your eyes. And what we have to do, which is not an easy thing to do, is just work on the foundations slowly but surely. This could take a decade. This is not a short-term type of situation. It's going to be a journey, but it's going to be so worth it. So start with those basics, the fundamentals, and then you can start experimenting with, you know, doing jumping jacks around your house if that's what you want to do. Basically, I think as a society, with food, spirituality, emotionality, mentality, we are overfed, undernourished. Like there's lots we're consuming, tons is going in, not a lot of it is quality. So our job is quality control.
Mm. Speaking of capitalism, very interesting perspective you have there. So, capitalism doesn't want you to be healthy. It doesn't want you to be happy. It doesn't want you to be anything. It wants to be rich. It's a good quote. So when capitalism is like supplying like these huge pharmacies with all these like meal replacement shakes and and all sorts of protein bars and whatever, if capitalism really wanted you to be healthy, they would say, please don't eat our meal replacement bars. Please go to your local shawarma joint and grab a sandwich. Okay, yes, a sandwich is healthier than a bar, even if it's a high protein bar, because one is genuine food that's made out of flour, vegetables, some seed butter like tahini, and some meat. If you don't want to have meat, that's also fine. You can sub it out for something else. But a protein bar is a condensed, and keep in mind, I'll eat protein bars in a pinch, but it's a condensed glob made in the lab, usually full of artificial sweeteners. So, like, they kind of warp our view of healthy. And I think another issue with capitalism is that capitalism is always causing problems and coming up with a solution for the problem. So, for example, instead of supplying us with nitrogen enriched soil that can mass farm, I don't know, watermelons, what if capitalism said, hey guys, here's a YouTube video on how to grow watermelons in your backyard? That way, you won't have to purchase watermelons anymore, and you can make it sustainable for your own family. But very few people are doing that. We did have a cool episode on sustainable farming where this couple in Australia, they're teaching people how to make eco-friendly, self-sustainable gardens in their backyard where they grow vegetables and fruits, and the water irrigation system has fish in it, so you can grow fish to eat as well. So it's all like
Cool.
about self-sustainability, but mass capitalism is all about like, because people don't hunt anymore and because everyone's sitting on their butts anyways, let's just mass make food where that problem only existed because people stopped farming.
Yes.
It's kind of the same. This is an extreme example, but like toilet paper and tissues and all these things. If we pooped in a squat, we wouldn't have as much. I'm trying to say it politely. Fecal, is that a word?
Yeah,
Fecal?
fecal matter. Yeah, for
Fecal
sure.
matter surrounding our body, and we wouldn't have to use as much toilet paper. So we wouldn't have to go. It's a good example, right? We wouldn't have to go into Target or Walmart or wherever the hell you go and be like, oh, there's 17 types of toilet paper. Which do I choose from? How about just squat when you poop and you probably won't have to wipe as much? So
Yes.
with that tangent, I want to dive into what you call ancestral living. I guess I also like vibe with that
Yes.
holistic health, primal living, because I was at a conference like a month ago and I was meeting like all these like, people in the fine suits. Meanwhile, I was in like pants and a t-shirt. And like, so what do
Mhm.
you do for a living? They probably didn't have a British accent. I'm like, I'm a trainer. They're like, oh, a trainer. I said, let me refine that. I'm a holistic health coach because I find that a trainer can get, the term trainer can mean like, good job, Mrs. Jones. Let's do another rep of bicep curls. And because I
Right.
value myself, I don't feel that the term trainer gives me justice. But he's like, what is holistic health? And I'm like, well, I don't think health is just about, how big your bicep is. I think it's about your health and your spirituality and your emotional health. He's like, oh, so like you're a therapist? And I'm like, we're ending this conversation. You're not deep enough for me, sir. Have a nice day. So let's
Yeah.
you got the vibes. Yeah, just people are not open to like what health really is. So we were speaking about toothpaste before, right? People are like, what are we talking about? What's bad about toothpaste? Can we dive into what ancestral living is for you? And like, please be controversial. Toothpaste, sunscreen, sunglasses, the way you sleep, the way you nap, the way you eat, the way you drink, the way you rest. Like, bring it on, please. Controversy. I love controversy, and I'm not afraid to. Yeah, go for it.
100%. No, I'm definitely not either. And for those who follow me on Instagram, like I talk about these topics a lot, and believe me, the DMs I get are like, "You are a freak,"
Good.
and
Yeah,
that's
a
cool.
freak
I
of
think
nature.
as I age, I'm just like, cool. I'm getting weirder and weirder, and I think it's a
Same.
good thing.
Yeah.
But I will just 1 second because this will come like I'll weave it together. But about the capitalism thing, I do want to say like I don't blame the companies. I don't blame people. Like, sure, you want to get rich, that's your prerogative. I'm not saying my values versus yours, one is better. I am here for personal accountability. Like, it's not their job to make me healthy. It's my job to make me healthy. And we have to realize that, like, I'm talking to the people who are listening. I just want people to wake up and realize this is the time we live in, and there's not like on an individual level, like all I could do right now is look out for myself, my family, the people around me, anybody who will listen, and tell you that you should care about your health because they don't care about your health, and their job is not to care about your health. Their job is to make money. So they're doing great at that. Sucks for you as an individual that your goals are not aligned, because if your goal is health, then you should probably turn away from there. How that comes into my ancestral living. I think I really did start taking personal accountability and sort of really taking stock of like what is important to me. And at the end of the day, I want to live a happy, long, healthy life. That's really the basis of what I started my whole journey on. Like I told you, a lot of it happened when I started having kids. And for me, that was like, okay, wow, now these people rely on me. Like my values don't just affect me, it affects them too. So I better be damn sure I'm doing my best at whatever that is. And again, as I said, I'm still on the journey. A lot of it for me was like, again, as I said, so much depletes us today. I really just try to focus on that input because there are going to be things that deplete us. Like I try to drink the best water I can and do all that stuff. But again, like I'm going to be out, I'm going to be traveling. Like you can't always control the exact environment. And I breathe in air that has garbage in it. Like that's just true, especially because right now I live in a construction site. So there's going to be things that are working against you. So do the best you can with the input you're giving it. So like, yeah, listen, like for my business, sometimes I have to be on Instagram. I have to have a social media presence, even though I don't think that's probably the ideal for my personal health, but I have to live in the world that we live in. So you know what? I'm going to be really mindful of meditating at least 10 minutes a day, do it like taking up things that I enjoy. Like I'm just trying this new instrument now. I try to, you know, like in my workouts, as you've seen and I've learned from you and other people I follow a lot, is like including play in there. Like I just try to end my day being like, okay, I've put in as many good things as I can, and hopefully that outweighs the bad, because there's a lot of garbage in our environment that I unfortunately can't avoid. And, you know, I don't think everything about modern life is great. And as much as I try to avoid some of it, it will trickle in. I know definitely for my children, it will. I don't know what their life will look like in the future. But right now, I really try to keep it as like real food, movement, solid sleep. If like I, but did that kind of answer things?
Real food, movement, solid sleep. Can you repeat the last one?
No, I think that's all I said, but I mean,
Mm,
I could go into more. Like I definitely try to get sun. If you want to go into the
yeah.
sunscreen thing, I just kind of went off on this, but
Mm,
basically our skin naturally produces things that don't let in toxic sunlight, right? Like we were raised in the sun. So what I would say is like don't wear sunglasses first of all if you're out in the sun, because it like tricks your eyes. They don't take in the sunlight, so they don't start producing the natural um things in our skin that block unnatural rays. So I would say like just be out in the sun naturally as you would. And for me, like since I live in the Middle East, but my skin is of like Eastern European descent, so
mhm.
my skin color is lighter. Right now it's like 10 shades darker because I really do build up my sun exposure. Like in the beginning of the summer, I'll like try to get out more in the morning, take like more of that morning and evening sun in, and then, you know, slowly but surely build up once like you get a tan going that is a natural blocker of harmful rays. So we don't need to be slathering ourselves with toxic sunscreen, that's for damn sure. um Again, like terrible for us, bad for the environment, lose lose. So I would say
Mm,
avoid that. But if you need, then mineral sunscreen, I guess, would be
mhm.
the best option.
Yeah.
But get
Well,
your sun.
yeah. So we live in a society where, as you said, there's good things and bad things, and society unfortunately no longer allows us to live at the optimal health, which means you have to work significantly harder to get to health optimization. Whereas if we go back to those, tribal nomad days, you automatically had tons of movement every day, tons of play every day. You were hunting for food, you're getting your strength training, you're getting your speed training, you're getting your family time because there was literally nothing better to do than sit around the bonfire and snuggle with your loved ones. There was not collecting berries was a treat. You'd find berries, your body's sugar fix was like, oh my god, I found berries once a month because they're rare. So like farmers, and even in the modern day, farmers and ranch owners don't inherently have to go to the gym and start lifting. Obviously, there's places for everything, but their lifestyle allows them to do it. The modern day warrior, desk warrior, doesn't have that ability. So you have to work significantly harder, which is why we've become the weirdos. But you can control what you do have control of. So the food you intake, the water you drink, the sleep you get, the quality of sleep. We're going to go all controversial here. So sunscreen. Exactly what you said, you spot on, but even more so, two factors. Number one, the concept of progressive overload, which applied to training, which is like day one squat 10 kilo, day three squat 15 kilo or pounds, applies to your skin as well. So if you're gonna go from Eastern European Jewish white boy and girl to let me go into the sun for 10 hours till my skin looks like tomato paste, that's a problem because that means you just squatted 200 kilo right off the bat without warming up, without ever squatting before. What's ideally needed is progressive overload to the skin. So day one, if you just came off a very lacking sun winter, go out into the sun for 5 to 10 minutes. And then the next day, go out into the sun for 20 minutes. Then a week later, go for an hour hike. And then a few months down the line, spend a few hours at the beach. But sunscreen is not helping or adding or taking away from that process. You're still being exposed to the sun, meaning the good and the bad of the sun is getting through. Sunscreen is just giving you an artificial confidence in, oh, I can be on the beach now for 8 hours because I'm lathered in sunscreen. Let alone the studies that were done that the sun causes cancer, actually, when researched, and I researched this, are when the sunscreen is on your body, which is not inherently harmful, it's just some chemicals, no biggie. When these chemicals are exposed to heat, then they can cause cancer. What is the biggest furnace in the world? The sun. So by lathering sunscreen on your skin, which is not inherently bad, although it is some things that your skin doesn't like too much, the sun is heating up these chemicals within the sunscreen and then can cause harmful side effects. The best way to look at it is if you look at nomads or Bedouins or anyone who spends any time under the sun in the desert culture and African culture, they cover themselves up because they know, even people of African American descent are very dark skinned. They know my body cannot tolerate 10 hours of direct sunlight. So they wear long sleeve cotton shirts and they wear long flowy robes that are comfortable and airy, and they wear a hat. They wear a hat. People with dark skin cover themselves completely. That's saying something about sunshine. It's not about sunscreen. Our sunscreen is like a band-aid. If you're in the sun too long, you better cover yourself up because your body will dehydrate and your body cannot tolerate that much sun exposure at once. That's regard to sunscreen. Now let's go on the toothpaste rant.
The toothpaste rant. Okay, I don't actually have that much to say about toothpaste because I'm actually just diving into this now. If it's a rant you want to take on, hit it. Like I'm just saying, I think like okay, I'll talk about it from where I came into this in my journey. Like I'm very into like Weston A. Price, who was a dentist who studied tribal teeth versus our teeth in the modern society. He was basically a dentist living and was like, why are all these people coming in where their teeth don't fit in their jaws? They need braces, they need all these interventions when like humans are supposed to have teeth. Like this is the amount of teeth we're supposed to have. So like what is going on? Why are our teeth decaying? Like why are all these things happening? So he sort of went on his own journey to find, like he went to all these tribes, people who were still living in the like hunter-gatherer times, but actually modern tribes, and seeing how do their teeth look, like what's going on over there. They had wide jaws, beautiful smiles, sparkly white teeth. They were not using any toothpaste. They were just eating real food and living healthy lives. And so they didn't need all these interventions like we do now. So my real like step into that world is just, why do we even need these things in the first place? I don't think we should. Like really, they had white teeth and they had jaws that fit their mouths because they were eating nutrient rich diets that were giving their children the ability to form these in utero and onwards. Like the problem is, like we're sort of combating it, again, it's like a band-aid.
It's the pooped toilet paper scenario all over again.
It's a band-aid. It's a band-aid. Like exactly what you're saying. All these things come about because we're like, let's fix the symptom, not get into the root cause of what the real problem is. So how about instead of selling all your toothpaste that's making a ton of money, try to encourage people to eat meat when they're pregnant, which have all these vitamins and minerals, which could help their child form a jaw that could fit their teeth and be able to have the good teeth to begin with, and not make the dentists all the money and the toothpaste companies all the money. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't have that much to add about toothpaste, but I really like how you took toothpaste into a general hygiene, oral medical thing. And I never had braces. I had like little gaps between my teeth. Guess what? I don't care because my teeth were born that way, and I have healthy teeth, and I brush my teeth, and all's good, and I never had a cavity. Thank the Lord. But like, I don't know this as a fact, but I can tell you that if dentists' only source of income was a cavity or a root canal, then they wouldn't be making as much money because dentists have like braces with kids and they have to be adjusted every year. They're making tons more money. Now, I'm not going to dive into something I don't know about, but like many surgeries and like many external cosmetic or medical procedures done to the body, they're not inherently needed. They were mainstream accepted so this specific medical branch can make money. And the biggest example is this is proven is with diamonds. Diamonds were not a thing. Diamonds were a useless gemstone until in the 80s or 90s, the TV shows and movies are like, all right, we got to make diamonds valuable. So let's make people start proposing with diamond rings. And then it became a standard that every dude has to come up with thousands of dollars when he's just starting his life. And you can take that same money and apply it to like a house. I bought my wife a diamond ring, don't get me wrong. But like, the fact that you're at the beginning of your life when you don't inherently have a lot of money saved up to spend so much in a diamond ring, which may or may not be appreciated, is because Hollywood decided that fate for us. So I don't know who's behind braces, and it's possible because I'm not an oral hygienist and I'm not a dentist. It's possible that some people do need braces, and if that their teeth grow in a certain way, it will affect them. But what if we ate healthy? What if we chewed properly? What if our whole childhood we ate fibrous foods and tubers and meat
Yeah.
and suck the marrow out from bones, which required our teeth to actually get strong and our whole facial and mouth
Yeah.
muscles to get strong? Maybe we wouldn't have the whole wisdom tooth. Like I didn't research the matter, so I'm not gonna like blatantly say something on a podcast that I don't know. But wisdom
Yeah.
teeth. Who in the world has the power of God to say, sorry, God, you made a mistake. We don't need the two back teeth. Now you can
No,
start.
it's because they don't usually fit in people's jaws, which
Right,
is a problem. Like,
right.
this is why I just had a personal situation with this, that my daughter needed to like get all these like she had to do like dental procedures,
Yeah.
and like I took it so personally, and I was like, I feel like I failed her because like I was pregnant with her and I was a vegetarian when I was pregnant with her.
Mm,
And I'm like,
mm,
I did not give her the building
mm.
blocks to be able to form that. And listen, like obviously there's a lot of things that go into all these different health things. So like I'm not saying you can blame yourself alone for anything that your child goes through or anything like that. I'm not saying that, but I am saying we have so much power to create. Like we should take this power of our health and do the most we can with it. We should just be so thankful. People like want to push the power elsewhere. Like, no, it's the industries, it's this, it's that. But if you make those choices for yourself and your children and whoever you have the ability to change, like you can be changing lives. Like that's pretty powerful. You know what I mean?
You have control. I mean, you have control of your kids and you have control of the people around you. You don't have to change the world. In fact, you're not going to. But when it comes to anything, like just the fact vegetarian is a big topic, and my wife Sarah, she's a hairstylist. People will come 6 months down the line and their hair's falling out, and they'll be like, I don't know, I tried this product and I tried this product. And Sarah's not a nutritionist, but being aware of her body, she's like, did you go vegan recently? And they're like, yeah. How did you know? She's like, well, you're missing half your hair. So they're like, oh, I didn't realize it was related. Well,
Yeah.
are you eating enough protein every day? I eat some tofu once a week. You know what I mean? If you're gonna be
Yeah.
vegan, and it's totally cool. I'm working right now with the football team. There's like 2 or 3 athletes who are like D1 level who are vegan, and they're awesome, and they count their macros and eat enough protein every day, and they're like the best on the team. So all's good if you do it responsibly. If you're gonna become vegan because you think it's healthy without doing the research and making sure you're eating enough protein, amino acids, and B12, don't do it. Don't do
Yeah.
stop jumping to extremes. You know what I mean? This whole society is just vegan paleo, gym, sit on the couch. There's no like, what if I just went for a walk every day and just kind of
Right. No, I think we should do a whole nother podcast on vegan versus
veganism.
meat eating, because that you don't want me to go on that tangent. It will take me another
Well,
two
it's funny
hours.
because you were vegan and now you're like a big meat eater,
No,
organic
I
meat
was a
eater.
vegetarian, and like, yeah, I just have a lot to say on that topic.
Mm.
I don't Again,
Next
I think a
podcast.
lot of it comes, we'll do a different podcast perhaps, but I will say, like, people, because we are these conscious intellectual beings, now we think we are out of the food chain, but we have to humble ourselves and realize that 70,000 years ago, we made zero impact on this planet. We are only special because, as Yuval Harari, shout out to Israeli, as he says, like, our power lies in our ability to be like flexible cooperation. That is why we overtook this planet. We are just animals like the rest of them. So just because, I mean, now we can't eat meat. Like, I think people have this whole like ethical dilemma, like we shouldn't eat meat because we're too smart and we know we're hurting other animals, but it's a lot more complicated than that. And if we want to unleash our birthright of health, then I think meat is a very important part of that. That's where I'll stop for now.
So okay, we'll continue on next podcast. And I just like, you don't have to be Jewish or religious to like read the Bible, right? Or Christian, whatever it is. But like,
Right.
God let Noah eat meat. God, after the ark, said, build a sacrifice and eat some of the meat. Noah was the one who saved every single animal in the animal kingdom. So regardless of whether or not you believe it's a fairy tale or whether you believe in it, doesn't really matter to me. But the fact that this story is brought down in cultural, in almost every single religious scripture, Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, and even in like ancient like Indian, they have like the concept of Noah who saved like all the animals. He meant it be called Noah, but he saved every single animal, which means he had an emotional connection to every single living creature on the planet, and he still went ahead and ate them. Is
Yeah.
kind of like proving that animals evolved to be in, not definitely not in the mass farm tortured caged
Yeah.
manner they are today. Like I'm an animal lover. We go to the ranch almost every week. We have two animals, but they're part of the food chain, so to speak. We're also part of the food chain, and animals eat animals, humans eat animals, and it has to be done in a sustainable way. We'll keep the veganism stuff to a different podcast. But moving on
Yeah.
to like things like sunglasses, I know you mentioned it already, but the reality is that your eyes receiving sun exposure is the most important thing in your circadian cycle. And if you go out and better than a coffee and better than checking your Instagram in the morning, the best thing you can do for your eyes, and Dr. Huberman, who I'm sure you listen to, is a big fan of this. He's always speaking about like circadian cycles and sleep cycles. The best way to wake up your body is expose yourself to your eyes, the pupils of your eyes, to bright light in the morning. Ideally, sunlight. If you can have sunlight, then any sort of artificial light in your house. And if you can't have artificial light, then like a sauna, infrared, or anything that wakes up your eyes. If you wear sunglasses, you're blocking your body's natural ability to wake up. So you're going for a walk, out in the sunshine with your dog, and you're wearing sunglasses and sunscreen and whatever. You're actually blocking your body's ability to wake up and sleep properly. Besides the fact that sunglasses are you're not teaching your eyes to build up immunity to the sun. Now, sunglasses, by the way, are not marketed as a health tool. They're marketed as a aesthetic cosmetic tool, which just shows how warped society became. We took something that's protecting your eyes, but who decided it was needed? Hollywood or whatever.
Yeah.
It's a $1 million industry. And now we never spoke about this one. We get to go into deodorant. Go for it.
Oh
Uh-oh.
God.
Oh
Okay.
no.
Woo, you're just whipping them all out here.
Yeah,
I would
let's do
say
it.
deodorant, same thing as any of these products, like fragrance products, perfume, like cleaning products in your house. I think this is all just, I'll just talk about it under the umbrella of
Mm.
toxic chemicals that we are just led to rub all over ourselves and put into our environments every single day and breathe in. And I say just go natural for those, or don't use them. I mean, plenty of people don't use them. I personally use natural. Um, I will say though that I'll just give like an action point. There is a good resource of the EWG, product toxicity. You could just search that on Google, the Environmental Working Group product toxicity check, and just like check your products that they're not toxic, because again, we're like, there's people who are literally like, oh my God, my kids got into my cleaning cabinets. Like,
Hmm.
you shouldn't think your kid is going to die if they by mistake inhale any of your products or anything. Like, I'll put some makeup on my daughter sometimes when she wants, because I use Beauty Counter and it's all natural. And like, again, like as I'm saying, we live in the world, and if you don't want to put on makeup and you don't, like, there are people who go all natural. I'm sure you know a bunch of them. You might be one of them. Listen, like I put on makeup sometimes. I'm saying like there are so like there are, this is what I'm trying to say, that this is just on a continuum. Do you do whatever makes you happy? What makes me happy is putting on makeup. And you know what? I put on Beauty Counter because it's good for me. I'm just saying always work within your what you want to do and how you want to live. Make it the best you can make it. Okay. Like I'm not comparing myself to anybody else. I don't have to be the best in the world and the most natural and the most clean and the most perfect, but be very aware of what you're putting on yourself and in your environment. Because again, there's so much already working against us.
Yeah, definitely question the norm when it comes to deodorant. Obviously, the toxic chemicals are an issue, and there's kind of an oxymoron there for two reasons. First of all, our entire life as society, we're always trying to detox. So we go in saunas and we drink green celery juices and we whatever the hell. I got a detox massage and all other terms where detox, or I drink a detox tea, and I use this term and throw it around where it doesn't really do anything. No tea is magically going to clean your gut or make your skin better. What could prevent your skin from getting bad in the first place is avoiding toxins. So instead of trying to detox all day, just don't tox in the first place. So like deodorant, for example, besides the fact that like Old Spice or like all these random deodorants have chemicals in them, deodorant is actually stopping your body's natural process. Sweating doesn't make you smell. It's the amount of bacteria that builds up there that makes you smell. If you didn't use deodorant from a kid and your body was able to sweat freely and never blocked out that smell and your sweating ability with antiperspirant and deodorants, your body wouldn't smell so much. And I experimented this both on myself. I switched to natural deodorant. Sarah did as well. And after a few months, it's a process. Your body kind of gets used to no longer being reliant on the sweat blockers. But even more so, your body needs to sweat. Sweat is how your body cools itself. It's how dogs can pant from their mouth. Humans sweat from their body, with the armpits being there's a lot of glands there and there's a lot of sweat going on there. So if you block out that sweat, you're actually harming your body because your body cannot sweat efficiently. And all these things like saunas, which are, it's doing the 40-minute thing again. All these things like saunas, we'll wrap up. You're sweating, but if you're wearing deodorant before the sauna, you're actually losing your body's innate ability to sweat. There's so much more stuff we can go on. Because you mentioned cleaning supplies, here's another oxymoron. I'm not going to start diving into like the fact that you can use baking soda, lemon juice, and whatever. But if your kid goes out and rubs his hands in the dirt and rubs some dirt on his face, which is probably a great thing because it's developing his immune system, the human response is come home, wash your hands with soap and water. Usually soap contains chemicals unless it's specifically natural. Wipe them with antibacterial wipes. Put some alcohol gel, put some Purell. Now people who are watching this are going to think I'm insane because everyone uses Purell, right? No, because you are always exposing your kid to these hygienic solutions. There's nothing wrong with washing your kid's hand if there's some dirt in it before he's about to eat. That's normal. There may be fecal matters in whatever he rubbed his hands in. But you're just exposing your body again and again to these hygienic solutions, which are chemicals. So you're taking natural stuff, which probably won't harm them, and you're putting on chemicals, which will for sure harm them. So rethink everything. Rethink what you shower with, what you clean with, what you wash dishes with. One time, my sauna, which is open at the moment, so the glass door gets like smudges from sweat. So I clean it with water now, and it cleans it perfectly. One time I cleaned it with like the blue spray, and then I was sitting in the sauna in an enclosed hot area, breathing in blue fumes, and I said, Sean, you're sitting in a healthy thing in a sauna, but you're breathing in chemicals, so no more blue stuff.
Well, this was also the problem, with COVID. Like people started like rubbing alcohol gel on literally every single thing. And I'm like, okay, at a time where we need to be exposing ourselves to germs and building up our immune system, we're making hyper hygienic places, which is like doing us more harm than good. So yeah, I'm all about letting the kids play out in the wild. My kids get a couple looks at the park, rubbing mud everywhere, but you know what?
Yeah.
Hopefully they'll be healthier for it.
Yes, it's known that eating, like not eating dirt, but like getting your hands in your mouth and stuff is healthy for the kid's immune system. And the fact that like kids eat their boogers and all these stuff, I know this is an extreme. I'm not saying you have to eat your boogers, but the fact that the kid does that is the body's natural ability to try to build immunity, because the nose. It sounds funny. I was reading about this in Ben Greenfield's book. The nose picks up all the hairs of the nose, pick up all the like toxins, and the body's trying to like get some of that immunity. So let a kid be a kid. Let him play. Let him do his thing. Use your parental judgment, and Let's wrap up. My
And
one
eat your
advice.
snot.
Exactly. Eat your boogers. We'll put that part on Instagram. Eat your boogers. My wrap up
That's your
is
one takeaway.
we
Oh
spoke a
man.
lot. I hope it is. We spoke a lot about like ancestral stuff and stuff that may extreme. So for those out listening, pick one thing that you don't normally do. So if you're already exercising, eating healthy, and sleeping well, fantastic. Pick one of the things we mentioned, whether it's thinking about your toothpaste, deodorant, sunglasses, sunscreen, if it's exposing yourself to sunshine more, if it's moving more throughout the day, if it's realizing that your end goal is not just muscle, it's living forever and being healthy at the age of 80. Pick one thing that we spoke about and take it upon yourself, and your life might change for the better. What would your like summary or one takeaway?
Yeah, I always say that. I say like focus on one sustainable habit at a time, and it really does build on itself because you'll see like if you're first of all, I always start with like if you make sure you're getting good sleep because that's just such a low hanging fruit for so many people. Like 5 hours of sleep is just not enough, and you will not be mentally happy or physically healthy if you can't get proper sleep. So sleep is a good place to start. And then I say eat a real food breakfast and you will see a huge change. And again, once you start to see that first change, it just drives you to want to do more. So one thing at a time, just like take that control and take that power and realize that it's an amazing thing you have, an amazing tool. And you can follow me for more info at
Mm-hmm.
Naomi
I was
Eastman
about perfect.
Fitness.
Naomi Eastman Fitness on Instagram. What about like website, Facebook, other
I'm
platforms?
like I'm at Naomi Eastman Fitness about everywhere.
Mm.
NME Fitness. You can find me there. I feel like Instagram's got all my stuff though.
Mm-hmm.
And I love following you there. I get all my good tidbits there, all my barefoot living stuff. My
Because yeah, that's all I
Vivo
do.
boots are on
I
their
do.
way.
Nice. Do you have online programs or other offerings that people can know about that are in the international, or is just in person?
Yeah, I work with people online too. I do
Sick.
nutrition coaching
Mm.
online, and I also do have some fitness programs, like self-paced programs,
Mm.
which are all like 20-minute videos, super manageable. And there's like a dumbbell version, so all you need is a pair of dumbbells.
Mm.
Then as it gets easier, you get heavier dumbbells, and hopefully you build it from there. But again, like I
Simple.
know that you can't do everything at once. Take manageable steps, and sustainability is key.
Simplicity works. All right, Naomi, thanks so much for. I am appreciative of you for coming out on the show. I'm a little bit ADHD, so I went from like in the sauna to out of the sauna to standing to squatting because that's what I do. I'm even worse in the ice bath. That's all for today. Thanks for listening to this episode, and until next time, peace out.